He's mad as hell. It's Kevin O'Sullivan.
Yeah, welcome to What Just Happened. I'm mad as hell and I'm not going to take it anymore. My guest this week, he's back by unpopular demand. It's JJ Anasiobi. What are you doing here again? I told him to ban you from the building. And special guest from the IEA, political and social commentator. She's only 20 years old. That's a crime. It's Reem Ibrahim. Welcome, Reem. Thank you. Right off the bat, let's get the ball rolling with a few of my thoughts on the migrant crisis. Number of migrants predicted to cross the Channel illegally this year, 80,000, possibly as many as 100,000. An escalating crisis that, for all his determined declarations, Rishi Soundbite Sunak is clearly hopelessly unable to solve. Number of legal migrants predicted to be allowed to settle in Britain this year, a staggering 1 million. A self-created crisis that the Prime Minister could easily solve with a swift reversal of his insane come one, come all policy. But he chooses not to, because this rudderless pretend Tory government is addicted to a low-wage economy that requires vast numbers of poorly paid foreigners to do the jobs that Brits won't, as productivity plummets and the inequality gap grows scandalously wider by the day. We used to encourage highly skilled people to live here and make a valuable contribution. Now there's an open invitation to pretty much anyone who fancies a new life in the UK, just as long as they have no qualifications. Extraordinary, dystopian and unsustainable. With nearly 70 million people crammed in already, our tiny country is packed to the rafters, and the housing and healthcare infrastructure simply cannot cope with these huge influxes year after overcrowded year. This madness needs to stop as a matter of urgency, as does Sunak's deranged and deceitful approach to the shambles of the illegal migrant problem. Can this be the same Prime Minister who just a few weeks ago stood at the lectern emblazoned with "Stop the boats" and vowed to bring an end to the cross-channel invasion of mostly young men who land on our beaches without passports and demand to stay? Inexplicably, the British response to this has been to put them in luxury coaches, drive them to swish hotels, where their lengthy stays are paid for by long-suffering taxpayers to the colossal tune of £7 million a day, and then hand them 45 quid a week spending money. Not forgetting, of course, the legal aid we give them to hire high-price immigration lawyers to fight their asylum claims and, of course, appeal on the off chance that they're denied. And we wonder why they just keep on coming. To those who wish to break the law by breaking into Britain, our stupefying system is not a deterrent, it's an enthusiastic encouragement. What results have we seen in the 2 months or so since Rishi handed French President Monsieur Macron £500 million to patrol France's northern coast and prevent the dinghies from setting sail on their dangerous voyages? Oh, I know. No results at all. They're still coming across, sometimes at the rate of hundreds a day. Brilliant. Sucker Sunak might just as well have chucked that £500 million smackers onto a bonfire and set fire to it. In other bad news, he tells us he's going to stop the boats and then announces he'll commandeer as many residential barges as it takes to accommodate our numerous new arrivals. In other words, he's not stopping the boats, he's increasing the barges. And all along, Home Secretary Suella Braverman continues in her important role as the UK's room finder in chief, with 60,000 migrants jammed into 440 hotels and rising all over the country. Not forgetting the disused air bases, derelict holiday camps and former prisons that are all being renovated at huge expense to accommodate the ever-increasing throng of asylum seekers who view balmy Britain as the softest immigration touch in the entire world. They're right, because it is. Rishi seems to have switched from his powerful pledge to stop the boats to a feeble attempt to make the cost of putting up these unwanted interlopers a little bit more cheap. To this chronic crisis, that is not a solution, it's an admission of disastrous defeat. Well, that's what I think. JJ, I mean, the truth is that this Prime Minister and Home Secretary, for that matter, they project this picture. We're tough on migrants. We're going to stop the boats, sovereign borders, They're doing nothing of the sort. Rishi Sunak says, I'm going to stop the boats. 4 weeks later, he says, hey, I've commissioned 10 new boats to put migrants on. So he's not stopping the boats, he's increasing them.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, we have the commissioning and the purchase of derelict prisons, derelict air bases to turn into massive centres for asylum seekers. So, you know, this isn't an attack on migrants, it's an attack on our duplicitous government.
Yeah.
And frankly, the lies it's telling us about this.
Yeah, our government are schizophrenic. That's what they are.
Yes.
On one hand, they're saying, we're going to stop the boats, we're going to stop the illegal immigrants. Then on the other side, we've got 1 million legal migrants coming over. And then now, and Suella Braverman's like, we've got to stop that. But then Sunak's saying, no, we haven't got to stop that. We're going to stop those ones instead. Forget the big number, let's get the small number first. And then he's going to pledge more money, a few more billion to Ukraine. Yeah. The Ukraine refugees that we're taking in are part of the illegal immigrants who are coming across. Same for the Hong Kong refugees as well. Yeah. And then same for NHS workers. So it's just one big confused ball of basically.
Yeah, if you can put it that way. Beep! Now, Reem, I mean, JJ's right, basically. I think it's 170,000 Ukraine migrants that we've got here, which is, of course, is absolutely fine. We've got to look after those people. Hong Kong, we've got to deal with those people, so that's fine. And then the rest of this million a year that are coming in are actually low-wage workers. Now, in the past, as I said in my monologue, the government's policy was to bring in high-skilled, highly qualified people to make a big contribution. We're not interested in those kind of people anymore. We need low-wage people to do the low-skilled jobs that Brits won't do, lazy Brits won't do, to sustain our low-wage economy, which, by the way, is an economic disaster.
Well, what I'll say is I think that the reason why this is happening is because the government have unequivocally failed on illegal migration. The Home Office, the backlog at the moment with asylum seekers is over 100,000, so they've clearly failed. Absolutely ridiculous. And at the moment, what we're seeing with a lot of these legal migrants is that they are filling in the jobs that, unfortunately, the government have artificially not allowed to be filled. I mean, we saw, I think it was the head of Next just the other month sort of said, you know what, we either need to have these low-wage migrants coming over and filling in these jobs, or Brits have got to get off their asses and do the jobs themselves. And unfortunately, we've got to have one or the other. We can't just let these jobs not be filled, otherwise we can't grow the economy.
Yeah, but low wage doesn't work, does it? And as I said at the end of my monologue there, JJ, Rishi Sunak has switched in, it's less than 2 months, from stop the boats, across that mile, I'm going to stop the boats, to I'm going to put them in places that are slightly cheaper than hotels, like air bases and disused prisons.
Yeah.
And by the way, as I said, I found out at the weekend that North Eye Prison, which is basically a pile of bricks near Bexhill in Sussex, is going to cost them about £20 million to get this ready for 1,200 asylum seekers. So it's duplicitous, they're deceitful. They're saying this is cheap. This is cheaper than hotels. Well, not if you're spending 20 million to renovate the joint.
Yeah, they're just trying to make it look like to some of their voters that they're doing something.
Yeah.
They're rearranging their deck chairs. It's like...
On the Titanic.
I think that's it, exactly. We've moved back the hotel, they're now on a boat down the road instead. Don't you worry about it. So we're doing stuff. It's working, guys.
This is a barge. We put the migrants much cheaper than hotels. I mean, it's taken about 10 years to get there. And when it gets there, 519.
Yeah.
Well, you know, as you say, Reem, there's 100,000 of them all over the country. Yeah. By the way, there's still commandeering hotels, 450 and rising, all over the country. And also, by the way, this is causing great unrest among all these local communities. In Portland, 12,000 people, 1 copper, 1 GP. How are they going to handle 500 young men? They're all going to be young men with nothing to do all day. There's a bar on the boat. I mean, the mind boggles, doesn't it? Let's move on to some adverts, bad ads. Take it away.
I didn't mean to do it. I'm so sorry.
Women's secret confessions, all real, all true.
It was horrible. I was out of control.
Listen to women bearing their souls.
Please forgive me.
Women's secret confessions, what their best friends don't even know. Call 1-900-909-1133. $2 first minute, 45 cents additional minutes.
For women only.
Adults only, please.
Well, you know who's going to tune into that? Men only. That's who it's aimed at, isn't it?
I think I need more than the 2 minutes. I think I need 20 minutes to talk about my confessions.
Think about that, though, JJ. $6 a minute, you know.
That's
a lot of money, isn't it?
a lot of money, but I'm enthralled. Take my cash.
Yeah.
The
What's the number again?
Yeah.
Actually, what are they? What are they confessing?
It was my first time. What?
Yeah.
Who is this?
There are many secrets us women hold.
What about you give over your $20, you know, you phone in, the confession is, God, I had 10 pints last night, I got really drunk. That's a rubbish confession. Anyway, it is now time for fan mail. This is mean tweets, Kevin's.
As there is nothing that can describe the cancerous growth on our people that you and your fellow traitors are. Do be sure to sleep well in your nice warm bed tonight as your own people freeze on the streets or die in the back of a delayed ambulance.
You can't argue with it, can you? Let's go to break. What just happened?
He's mad as hell. It's Kevin O'Sullivan.
The monumental madness of woeful wokery is infesting this country like fungus, mushrooming into every aspect of British life as we put male rapists into female prisons, peddle lies to little kids about hundreds of genders and tell them they can be anyone they like, and warn book lovers and theatre goers that the classics millions have enjoyed over hundreds of years may traumatise them. Now dismissed by semi-literate Philistines as purveyors of dangerously harmful content, Shakespeare and Dickens must be spinning in their graves. How did audiences to A Midsummer Night's Dream manage for 5 centuries without being alerted to the stage horrors that lay ahead? Our thanks to London's ludicrous Globe Theatre for this absurdity. Why do these soulless idiots arrogantly assume that we are the best people who ever lived and therefore have the right to sit in asinine judgment of all those who inhabited this world before us? Arguably, nothing could be further from the truth. But more to the point, it is breathtakingly stupid to condemn people who have been dead since the Middle Ages for their culture and their beliefs. The massed moronic ranks of woke warriors are manically obsessed with links to the long-abolished slave trade, but seem blithely uninterested in the scourge of modern slavery that revoltingly prospers in our midst. Why worry about the plight of 21st century slaves when you can chuck the statues of 17th century slave traders into the sea? This virtue-signalling fixation on statues is a seriously worrying derangement that needs to be stamped out fast. Councils all over the country are splashing our cash on pointless audits as they sift through every statue and street name to check for links to slavery. Listen to the insanity of it. Edinburgh's, and I quote, Independent Slavery and Colonialism Legacy Review established that poet Robert Burns, one of Scotland's great heroes, secured a job as a bookkeeper on a Jamaican plantation that was, and I quote again, worked by enslaved people. We should be grateful for such important information about Rabi's nefarious past, because although he decided against taking the job and never visited the Caribbean, that's still a disgraceful link to slavery, isn't it? No. Moving on now from the Scottish capital to the English capital, the City of London Corporation set up its crucial Tackling Racism Task Force, which soon targeted All Hallows Church by the Tower, the oldest place of worship in the Square Mile, because the colonialist William Penn was baptised there in 1644. Christ! And for God's sake, take heed of the task force's alarming alert that you should think twice about popping into the Samuel Pepys pub for a drink, because famous diarist Pepys was once a minor shareholder in a slave trading group. Meanwhile, in Birmingham, a statue of legendary 60s funny man Tony Hancock was mercifully classified as low risk, although some of his social commentary was, and I quote yet again, reflective of the time. Well, just fancy that. What did they expect? That Hancock's social commentary would be reflected of today, more than 50 years after he died? Tragically, I think they do. And finally, in this catalogue of crass craziness, the special award for outstanding lunacy goes to the balmy bozos at Leeds Council who investigated a statue of footballer Billy Bremner, who played with distinction for Leeds United from 1959 to 1975. Incredibly, this statue of a soccer star outside the club's stadium, Elland Road, was reviewed for links to slavery and colonialism. Luckily, Billy passed the test. Turns out he was too busy controlling the midfield to colonialise foreign countries and buy slaves. Phew. But seriously, these two-bit town hall twits are spending hundreds of thousands of pounds on this arrant nonsense, and all sensible citizens need to demand that they stop wasting our money, like right now. I mean,
brilliant.
Really, though, JJ? I mean, you know...
It's nuts. It's absolutely nuts. And what it does, it takes away from actual problems we have with racism.
Yeah.
Like, Billy Bremner. Why are they investigating a footballer about that? It's mental.
I hated Billy Bremner, by the way. Dirty little son he was. Yeah. Good player, though. You know, and to say he played for Scotland as well.
Yeah.
He was just a great footballer for a long, long time.
Yeah.
He built a statue, and it gets investigated for links to slavery.
It's ridiculous, but it also ruins the classics. I mean, the fact that Shakespeare's Midsummer Night's Dream is now being a trigger warning. I do think that at the moment this generation seems to want to be, you know, wrapped in cotton wool. We can't feel the real world. The real world does not come with trigger warnings, and unfortunately, I think people need to kind of wake up and actually just sort of grow up and take it.
We're making people far too soft as a society. We're gonna have when I'm an old man, the people are going to be looking after me. In 50 years' time, when I'm an old man, we're going to have all these.
By the way, that's
softies.
why I got Reem on.
You appeal to the generation.
You can stop saying you're so young. 20 years old. You're old enough to be a granny.
Well,
but the people who control the world in 20 years' time are going to be so soft. We're going to lose everything in society.
But you know what I think, Reem and JJ? When these trigger warnings outside the Globe Theatre, they're not the only ones doing it. There's, you know, university libraries, watch out for this book, watch out for that book, you know, books that people have been reading for centuries. This isn't about actually warning people. This is about the people who put the trigger warnings on, signalling their own virtue. Look how wonderful we are. We're so caring. We're so worried about your safety, your safe space.
It is part of this wider kind of social justice warrior movement. It's the same thing we saw with the Black Lives Matter organisation, where they organised, I think it was 2 years ago now, where they said, post a black screen for Blackout Tuesday to signal that you are anti-racist. How, in what world is a black screen showing that you support anti-racism? It's just ridiculous.
Well, it doesn't make a change,
and
does it? Yeah.
Exactly, and it's all part of this virtue signalling, this sort of woke justice warrior stuff, where people want to show the world how good they are.
I'll tell you soon, it's going to be the Bible, it's going to be the Quran, it's going to be the Torah. Those will be the next books.
So right, you're so right.
There's so much violence in the Bible, in the Old Testament. If your child is disrespectful to you, take him to the edge of town and stone him to death.
Trigger warning, Jesus dies.
I love the idea of people going to church, there's a Bible, bit in front of the pew. Warning! Contains dangerous, harmful content.
May contain crucifixion.
Trigger warning, someone might die.
Don't trust that God. He's had a good press, but underneath it, there are problems. But I mean, this is costing us all a lot of money. I mean, the idea that local authorities all over the country are spending lots and lots of ratepayers, council taxpayers' money on this. I mean, it's really worrying. It's insane.
It's terrible. I would say, let's remove their powers and bring it back to central government. But our central government is terrible also. The people in charge are rubbish, and then the people who have the devolved powers are also now going mental. I use the word mental a lot. I've just realised.
No, it is. It's mad. I like
There's
the
a
word
trigger
mad.
warning on that.
It's mad.
Sorry about that. We'll find a safe space for you all later. Okay? Now, I wouldn't vote for any of these councils, but I might vote for this guy. Let's do vote for me.
Hi, I'm Don Blankenship, candidate for U.S. Senate, and I approve this message. The politicians are running a lot of crazy ads. They blew up the coal mine and then put me in prison. Now they're running ads that say the coal mine blew up and I went to prison. There's no surprise there. But if you want jobs, if you want to end the drug epidemic and you want to protect the unborn, you need to vote for me. I will beat Joe Manchin and ditch Cocaine Mitch for the sake of the kids.
Yeah, so if you want all of those things, vote for Don. But if you like coal mines, don't vote for him. He blew it up and went to prison for it.
That last scene of him with the two girls seems really creepy.
They're like ventriloquist dummies. Look.
We love
Got the gear,
you.
got the gear. Vote for me. Vote for me.
He gets my vote. That's what I want my politicians to be. I want to be boring, down the line. What he says is what I'm going to get.
You've got to admit, he uses charisma and sex appeal as a woman.
That's the sex appeal with that moustache.
Yeah.
My God, that's what does it for
Don
me.
is definitely the kind of guy who calls up that phone line to listen to women's secrets.
Let me hear the confessions.
It's not the greatest way to start a kind of political broadcast. It's, I went to prison. Now it is time. You know me. I'm a big anti-drug campaigner. Just say no, and so do these two guys. We're talking about David Hasselhoff when he was in when he was driving the Knight Rider car. Remember that?
Yeah.
And Mr. T from the A-Team. So take it away, boys.
Did you know that marijuana can affect a person's physical and sexual growth?
Yes, that's quite accurate. In a laboratory test, female animals treated with the active component in marijuana experienced a 44% death rate among their offspring.
Illegal drugs are bad news. Don't mess with them.
That's what I can't stand about female animals. They spend all their time smoking dope, don't they? You've got to stop it. Get off the weed, female animals. I think that's probably... I mean, don't smoke dope, kids. Just say no. But I think that's a very dubious statistic that Dave just came up with. But Mr. T from the A-Team has got a more aggressive approach. Take it away, Mr. T.
Little kids doing drugs, it turns my stomach. That stuff hurts. It stops you from living up to your potential. It holds you back. It hurts the user. It hurts his family. And it hurts his friends. I just want to shake some sense into you kids that are using drugs and thinking about using. So remember, don't, or else.
That's B.A. Baracus from the A-Team. Again, you won't know that. Welcome to the modern world. Listen, that's it for another week, another fantastic episode of What Just Happened. Great thanks to my regular JJ Anasiobi and our debutant, Reem Ibrahim. Thank you very much for coming along. We'll be back next week, and farewell. What just happened?
It's time for That Was the Woke That Was.
The topical quiz show that goes through all of the wokest stories of the week.
She has been fame hungry from the get-go.
Saturdays at 9 on TalkTV.